welcome to this epic disaster. Now, you might realize that there's a weird sound.
It's the outside. It's the outside of buildings. It's like what happens outside.
We're outside. We're also using different mics.
Yeah,
so we got a little bit of different sound. But we I don't know. We just decided, what the heck, let's record outside. We rarely do that. And it's 1,000 degrees outside today in Atlanta.
I think it's more like 1,004, if I'm honest.
That was necessary.
Of course that was necessary.
You know,
because we're outside.
I wanted to do a show about that at one point.
About motorcycles?
Kind of. About people who like really loud motors. I grew up, and it seems to be, well, I don't know. I don't think that's fair. I was going to say, I think it seems to be a rural thing. Because, you know, tractor pulls. Do you ever go to a tractor pull?
Yeah.
I think the charm of tractor pulls in a lot of ways is just how loud those things get.
Well,
and
I'll be honest with you. It's not just a rural thing.
That's what I'm saying. I think
my ex-husband had we had a motorcycle, a Harley, and at one point his goal was to be the loudest bike on the road.
Yeah.
And I squelched that because no.
Have you ever been somewhere where you're sitting down just like we're doing, and then you hear this extremely loud car engine or motorcycle engine, and you turn around and look, and it's a woman?
Yes.
Have you?
Yes, on a motorcycle.
I've never encountered that.
Not in a truck or a car, but on a motorcycle, yes.
It just seems to me to be a thing that dudes like to do.
I think for the most part, 99.9% of the time, it's going to be a man.
Yeah.
And it also has to do with 99.9% of the time you see a huge monster truck with big tires on it, it's a man.
Well, I was going to say that when you go to monster truck shows, a lot of times the noise is part of the charm.
Yep.
I've never been into it. I don't know. I don't get it. That's why I wanted to do a show about it, see if we can analyze it, see what's going on. Today, we're not going to be doing
Not today.
No, we're not. You might hear some loud noises because we're actually sitting right next to the street.
Yes, we are. We're not sitting like on the curb.
We're sitting in a, all right, so we're at Grindhouse, Killer Burgers.
On Memorial
in Atlanta. We're outside under the umbrellas, and we're in the dog section.
And we don't have dogs with us.
We have no dogs. I should have brought my dog. But it's actually pretty cool. They've got like artificial turf. And
they put water out.
As our guests, we should introduce the dogs that are hanging out with us. We have a large Great Dane.
The biggest Great Dane I've seen.
Who's very calm. He's just stretched out.
Unfortunately, he still has his balls.
Why is it unfortunate?
Because
he might need them for something. He might be in an industry where he needs those.
The reason he doesn't need them is because we have plenty of puppies and dogs in shelters.
Oh, that's not your call.
And anything we can do to stop making more puppies and dogs in shelters is best.
Yeah, but sometimes you never know. He might actually be a professional. Then we got like 5 more up there, just kind of hanging out.
Yep, mostly mutts.
Yeah, so got a lot of people around us. People and 4-legged and 2-legged.
Puppers.
Yeah. So that's going on, and it's not too bad. It's high today is supposed to get almost 90.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Because it's only 84 right now.
We're under the umbrella, and there's a little bit of a breeze, so it's not too bad. But I don't know. I think we should do this more often. We should just pick some locations and just hang out outside and do a show.
I mean, I'm okay with that as long as you're buying the booze.
Okay.
All right.
Speaking of booze, we're not doing a live beer review simply because we didn't buy beer.
We don't have beer, but we do have alcohol.
Yeah. I think we should do a live booze review.
Okay.
One of the things at Grindhouse that you can get are Boozy Shakes. Now, we've talked about this on the podcast
We
before.
have, because Boozy Shakes are yummy.
They're just shakes with booze in them.
Basically, yes.
And I had one. We didn't get the same thing, did we?
No, we did not.
Okay, so what I thought we would do is talk about the what we got. We'd review what we got.
Okay.
And then I guess, I tried to make mine like at home.
How'd that go?
Not so well.
What happened?
Well, okay. First of all, I have my drink is called Cinnamon Toast Krunk.
Krunk. I like it. Okay.
So basically, it's a shake. It's a booze. It's a shake with booze in it, and it tastes like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Okay.
Because there's Cinnamon Toast Crunch in it. So we tried to make it at home with ice cream, cinnamon toast crunch, and alcohol.
All right.
It didn't work.
So just those three, you had cinnamon toast crunch, ice cream, and alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
Don't you think that these might have something more in them, like perhaps milk?
There is a little bit of milk. We put milk in ours, and see, that was the problem. This is really, really thick shake, and the ones that we had turned out to be really kind of watery, very milky. So that was the problem.
I see. Okay.
We should have put less milk, I think, and
milk.
and let it be. And see, I watched them make this, and they did put a little bit of milk in it. But anyway, let's talk about what we got, and let's do a review. So I have cinnamon toast crunk, and you have.
I have what's called a booty shake.
I know, but then what do you have that you're drinking?
Oh, I have what's called a booty shake.
What's in yours?
It is peach whiskey.
Peach whiskey.
Yeah, you want to try it?
Sounds like an Atlanta thing now.
Okay. Well, it's basically just a peach-flavored shake with alcohol.
Well, they got yours was served with a straw.
Because it's thinner than yours.
Mine actually has chunks of cinnamon toast crunch in it.
Well, mine has very, very tiny chunks of peach in it.
So it's a very peachy type of drink.
It's very peachy.
Okay, so should we review? Do you want me to start with mine?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
This is one of my favorite drinks. I've had, I don't know, probably close to 20 of them.
Mm-hmm. Today?
Not today. I wish. I think the alcohol that's in mine is like Fireball whiskey, maybe?
Yes, it is.
Is that it?
Yes, I've looked at the menu.
And you could taste the alcohol. You could taste the whiskey in it.
Oh yeah, you can taste it in
this. It's very,
this too.
very strong. Can you?
Oh yeah, yeah, you can.
So out of 5, I would rate this a 5.
Well, all right then.
And it's not a 5 beer. It's just a 5 as Boozy Shakes go.
As Boozy Shakes go.
It's a 5.
At least compared to the one you made at home.
That's right.
This one is absolutely
the one I made
a
at
5.
home was like a 2.5.
Okay, just because it tasted good, it just wasn't a good consistency?
The taste wasn't too bad. Consistency, not too good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, again, mine is peach flavored.
Uh-huh.
And out of 5, I would definitely give it a 4.
Wow.
And the reason I say 4 is because what happens to my stomach after I drink it.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with the drink. That's
doesn't.
rating your stomach.
I'm rating my stomach.
How would you rate your
at this
stomach
point.
out of 5?
Right. I'd give my stomach a 2, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But
your stomach's going to be giving a 2 in a little while.
How about 4.5?
4.5 on your.
I'm going
okay.
4.5.
Close.
I think I can do better.
A little bit more. Well, maybe you try. Maybe if you get like 20 of them.
This is only
Pick out
the
your best
4th one of these that I've had since the beginning of time.
And then the other thing we're not going to do today is a Would You Rather. We don't have our Would You Rather cards here today.
But I can make some shit up.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to make up a Would You Rather. Would you rather eat romaine lettuce covered in mustard or a dill pickle covered in raspberry yogurt?
I would go with the romaine lettuce.
You would?
Yep.
Okay. Good call.
I don't want the yogurt on the other thing. Pickle. No.
You don't want yogurt on pickle?
No.
Do you know what's funny is that's actually one of my favorite snacks.
Yogurt
dill pickles dipped in raspberry yogurt.
Ew. Okay, I'll do one. Would you rather be riding on the back of the motorcycle of that guy that just passed us?
Mm-hmm.
Or lick tongues with that Great Dane?
Do what with the Great Dane?
Lick tongues. Like that, you know?
Well,
one of the two.
I love puppy kisses.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny it.
It's a big dog, though.
Puppy kisses are awesome.
Mm-hmm.
On a day like today, the wind in my hair on a motorcycle
really
would be
loud.
awesome, too.
You might lose some hearing.
The problem is that you did specifically say that motorcycle.
Yeah, that guy's probably got a really small penis.
And it's really loud.
His penis or the motorcycle?
Oh, you think he has a small penis?
I think that's might be why it's so loud.
Like he's compensating?
Possibly.
By volume?
I haven't seen it, but I have heard his motorcycle.
Which leads you to believe.
Leads me to believe. I am going out on a limb. And, unless he passes by again, I have no way of stopping him and asking.
Okay, but let's take this just a little bit further. What does the size of his penis have to do with me being on the back of his bike?
I just think that it would be such a letdown later.
Well, you didn't say anything about later. You said ride on his motorcycle.
If you're riding on his motorcycle, he's going to expect a trade-off at the end, I'm pretty sure.
Wow, you have a really, really low opinion of human beings.
I know.
I mean, I get it, but yeah.
I'm just guessing. This is just guessing based on my own experience.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I choose.
Guys.
Of the two, I would rather choose the puppy kisses.
Okay, because it's quick.
Because it's quick.
Quick and over.
It's over.
Yeah.
And
quieter.
I get puppy kisses.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, come on.
Okay. I got it. I get it.
All right.
I get that stuff.
All right.
Hey, we did Would You Rather without cards.
Would You Rather is awesome when you make shit up.
I know. Speaking of make shit up, we got some letters this week. People wrote to us.
We have two letters.
Anyone can write to us at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com.
And I think they should.
They should. And then we'll put it on the air like we're doing right now.
And if you don't want us to say who the letter is from, all you have to do is say, don't say who this letter is from at the top of your letter.
Just make up a name.
Yeah, just say Joe.
Yeah, that's why we give nicknames so people won't know who we're talking. Just like this next guy, Dog Crate.
He has a nickname and it's Dog Crate.
Mm-hmm. His real name's Patrick, but still.
Wow.
Sorry, Dog Crate.
Just throw that out there. Okay, so basically what Dog Crate wrote to us about is...
Blew his cover now.
He is discussing the movies that we talked about on our last podcast. Not those specific movies, but movies in general.
That don't hold up well.
Yeah, movies that don't hold up well and movies that do hold up well.
Right.
Because we had several examples ourselves.
Now, is he doing the ones that do or that don't hold up well?
Both. He's doing both.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'll just start at the top. It says, hi, Rick and Cheri. Well, hi, Dog Crate. Cheri, I agree with you that Black Mirror is excellent. My favorite episode is Season 1, Episode 3, the entire history of you, where everyone has a chip recording their lives and people could force you to replay your memories. Now, that's called, I remember the episode well, that thing was called a grain.
Yeah.
And it was basically implanted at birth.
Ooh.
And if you had it removed, they called it gouging.
Strange.
I thought so too.
Okay.
Hold on.
Oh, give it up, dude.
That was just a car.
That was a car.
That was
it wasn't
a car.
even as loud as a motorcycle.
No. Okay, so that one was very creepy. It was very creepy. Because you were able to delete things from your memory.
Yeah.
But if you didn't and somebody could access your memories, they could absolutely see it.
Okay.
That's all memory from day one of birth.
Okay.
It was creepy. Okay, so regarding movies that have or have not held up well over time, he says in the category of teen movies, most of them don't hold up.
Possibly.
And he says that because any of like the Porky's movies, particularly,
I totally agree with that.
Yeah, they're cringeworthy in this day and age due to exploitation of the women and lack of consent.
Yeah, I mean that always made me cringe, but definitely style on that one doesn't hold up
at all. There is an honorable mention, he says, which is Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He says that sure it has 80s hair and clothing, but the plot holds up really well.
Yeah, you could,
And I think it does because it was just a fun day out. Mm-hmm. Now, there may be one or two things said in the movie that are cringeworthy today, perhaps. But again, the movie in its entirety and the plot of the movie, I think, still holds up today.
Yeah. You like that movie, right?
I do.
It's not one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah, I've never been I've seen it a few times, but
okay.
I can't say it's one of my favorite movies.
All right. So he has a couple more categories here. In his Christmas movies category, he says the ones that don't hold up,
You're right.
and this might make some people angry, is A Christmas Story.
I don't know. I think it still holds up for me anyway.
Well, he says it used to be cute, but making jokes about the mom cooking all of the time and Asian accents is kind of old. It's kind of dated.
Back at and during that period, that's what mothers did. They did cook a lot, and so I think that it kind of works. She was a housewife. My mother was a housewife. That's what she did. Mm-hmm. So I think in that time period, it kind of works. I totally agree about the Asian accents.
Yeah,
because they go. Here's what I will say, and I notice this all the time. It's kind of a humor thing that people make fun of Asians for mixing up their L's and their R's.
That's been going on for a while.
It's always joke-worthy. The reality is that's only a Japanese thing.
Right.
And in the movie, they go to a Chinese restaurant, and they're making the Chinese people talk like that. And it's not a problem. And the reason...
Chinese people don't tend to do that.
Well, the reason is, in Japanese, the R is pronounced like an L. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a click of your tongue. Mm-hmm. So if you're saying karaoke, which is what we say,
right,
they would say kare. Like, it's just kind of a flick in the tongue. Karaoke. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's another thing, trying to figure out if the L's, there's something about the L's.
And for those of you listening, Rick did speak some Japanese or has spoken Japanese in the past.
Yeah, and but that's a Japanese thing. And
right.
I mean, for a humor thing, okay, even, Japanese will make fun of that. I saw a Korean comedian. Now, I will say, I don't know if Koreans have the same issue, but I saw a Korean comedian doing that. The joke based on that.
Okay.
If Koreans want to stereotype Asian people, they're allowed to.
Do you think so?
Well, they're Asian, so let them do it. I guess. I don't know. But it doesn't. To me, it doesn't work with Chinese because that's not a Chinese language. Confusion.
Right.
And no pun intended. Confusion. Confucius. See, that was a stupid joke. Anyway, so that didn't really make sense to me at the end. Plus, it was kind of stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
I agree with him.
I agree with him as well.
Long way to agree with him.
Yeah. Good call there. One he says that does hold up is The Grinch, the animated one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
absolutely.
Always.
And he says he loves Max. Who doesn't love Max, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so action movies, he says most of those hold up pretty well. He says you were kind of split on War Games, but even with the ancient technology, I think it holds up.
Me too.
However, I will say that the Lethal Weapon movies with their race/mental illness jokes are pretty lame.
Yeah, you see a lot of that kind of stuff. And Mel Gibson's mullet.
With his outside of his mullet.
His mullet
doesn't hold up at all.
No.
I mean, it barely held up in Braveheart.
Right.
But and then if you're watching the movie, if you don't have the ability to suspend reality and know that character is not that actor, it's really hard for me to watch any Mel Gibson movies.
He's kind of ruined his career for a lot of people.
I think he has.
It's a shame.
It is. So in comedies, he says the ones that don't hold up are Police Academy.
Yeah, I never liked him anyway.
Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah.
Right. Oh God.
So bad.
Romancing the Stone.
I can't comment on that. I've only seen that once, and it was a long, long time ago, and I just don't remember much about it.
I used to love that movie.
Really?
Yeah, I really did.
I used to have a thing for Kathleen Turner. So.
I mean, who doesn't? Still, to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then ones that hold up are Groundhog Day. I know a lot of people that do not like that movie.
Yeah, I'm one of those.
Okay. Trading Places.
I haven't seen that in a long time, but I liked it okay. I would wonder, though.
I do recall there being some connotations in there that may not hold up today.
Right, because it's a lot of stuff about the stock market and how financial things work, and it would seem like that. One thing that does hold up was Jamie Lee Curtis's boobs.
They always hold up.
They held up well in that movie.
I can hold them up if they don't hold up themselves. I will be that person.
We'll call, see if she'll...
I would love to hold up your boobs, Jamie Lee Curtis. Please let me hold up your boobs.
Christopher Guest is doing that now.
Okay. Well, whatever. And he also says Princess Bride, which that movie will hold up forever.
Well, again, that one, it's fantasy. We talked about that. Whenever something is kind of set in a different era, you don't have anything really to compare it to.
You don't.
Right.
You don't. And again, even though it was set in the past, it was modern, and some amenities in the movie wouldn't have actually been true to period.
Uh-huh.
But it's not, like you said, it's not real. It's fantasy.
Didn't the minister in that movie have a speech impediment that kind of played up on the fact that he talked like Elmer Fudd, kind of?
Marriage.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that might not go over really well.
No, not so much. But people still use it.
Yeah.
To this day.
I don't have a problem with it. I think
at their own weddings.
Right. But I think if I kind of had that speech dysfunction, I would think that that's okay. I wouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay. But that's all Dog Crate has to say, and he does ask us to have a great weekend, which we're well on the way to doing.
That's right. Boozy Shakes help.
Yes. We have another letter here. It's a shorter letter. This is from the stalker, and she says, you bring up topics of race often on your podcast.
We already have. Talk about Asian people.
Already today we have. She says, I would suggest that you bring people of color onto your podcast and have these conversations, and you will get a different perspective, which is absolutely true. We would get a different perspective.
We'd get a different perspective if we had people of non-color on here.
If we had anybody on our podcast, we might get a different perspective.
Well, that's part of the thing. We tried to have a guest, and we have a little bit of problem getting a guest.
We get a really hard time getting guests on our show.
Mostly because no one knows about our podcast. And when
that's the biggest part of it.
Would you like to be on our podcast? They're like, I've never heard of you, and no. But yeah, I totally agree.
Oh, and it's in your house on the second floor?
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Yeah, you got to come to my house. Well, no, I agree. I think I would love to have an opposing commentary, or not just opposing, just another viewpoint. But I also kind of, while I agree with that, I would question when does that stop? I mean, if like today we talked Asians, do we bring in an Asian person to? It's kind of like when the Republic, like when Trump speaks, and then they always have a Democrat to come in at the end to give an alternative commentary. So it's just like, should we do that? Should, like, after every episode we just bring someone in, like we talked about Asians, so we have an Asian person come in and give an alternative commentary to what we said?
I mean, if we could afford to pay somebody to do it, they might. But again, trying to get people on this podcast is very, very difficult. It's like me trying to touch the top of my head to my ass.
Which you can't do anymore since you got back problems.
I never could.
Oh. Can I say something really quick? I meant to say this on the show a while back.
Sure.
Now that we're talking about that particular issue.
Sure.
I gave this statistic at home, and my wife didn't agree with it, but I'm standing by it. 100%, I think, 100% of men at one point in their lives have tried to suck their own penis. 100%, I'm saying, at one point in their life, have tried to do themselves.
To give themselves a blowjob.
I am standing by that.
I think
statistic.
It's valid.
I think it is. My wife doesn't believe it. I totally believe.
I think it's totally valid.
I would like to know if there is a dude, maybe that guy on the motorcycle never tried, but I don't believe that.
I don't think he could reach it since you think it's so small.
I think he was. That's where he was going. He was running home to try it. That's why it was so loud. He couldn't wait to get home. But I have that statistic. Most statistics you can't find 100%. I think that's 100%er. I think 100% of at some point, even if they were 14.
Okay, but you can't. I mean, honestly, if you want to really get down to brass tacks, you cannot say that statistic.
I'm going to say,
and here's why: because 100% of men, 100% of, let me put it this way: 100% of people with a penis includes infants.
Yeah, but if they died early, they couldn't. But you don't know what they're trying to do because they can't speak, so you really don't know. And plus, who knows what they did in the womb?
Do you think?
I mean, they were rolled up in there.
They were able then.
I'm telling you, you don't know. But I just feel
you probably did it in the womb.
I'm not going to say. This is before ultrasound. There was no videotape evidence.
No,
but I just think
obviously,
there are people that might have back issues or something like that. That just aren't able to do it or whatever. But I'm just saying able-bodied people who have tried at one point to do this. I'm going to stand by 100%. I really feel like at some point, even if it's one time, 100% of the guys have just said, I'm going to see if I can reach.
How old were you when you did it?
I have no idea.
But you did it.
I'm still trying. That's why my back's hurting right now. That's why I have back issues.
But then you went and got a wife, so you don't need to.
No. Well, sometimes I don't know what they've told you about marriage, but sometimes you gotta
do it yourself.
Work on yourself. That's right.
That's right. And as it should be. You can't always expect her to do that for you.
Okay, well, that was just a little side thing there. Going back to what we were saying about, I agree we need to have some, it would be nice to have another voice on the show, but I don't think we could do it for every show. I mean, and every topic, we can do it like people of color, talking about that. And when we're talking about issues of race, it would be great to have. But I just feel like, what if we're doing an issue about Asians or Native Americans, and we bring Khan back.
Mm-hmm.
What was it?
Some Asian dude.
I always say some young Asian dude. I don't know why.
Because you're thinking of a really old bad joke.
Wayne's World joke. I know. Some Asian dude. We brought him back to talk. Is that wrong to think that he's going to speak for every Asian? I mean, we got an Asian voice, but maybe what if he agrees with us and everybody else is going no? Because what I was saying, and I believe this last week when we were talking about men who date only Asian women, and I was saying a lot of Asian women that I have encountered don't agree. I mean, they think that there's something wrong with that. Now,
right.
And then did we agree with that attitude? But that was their opinion, and we didn't necessarily agree with it. So even if we have somebody on, I mean, we may or may not agree with what they say.
Right. And I'll tell you that just because I know him, he wouldn't be able to speak to that because he doesn't date Asian women.
And he can't speak for Asian women. He can only speak for Asian men. And can he speak for all of them?
No.
He can't speak for... I mean, he's going to...
He's only going to be able to speak for himself.
That's exactly right. And that's what we do. And here's the thing, though. We don't ever try to...
say we're right.
We don't say we're right. We don't say... We're just speaking for... We have the dumbass white people covered. I think we speak for the dumbass white people of the world.
I mean, speak for yourself.
I am.
Okay.
But I don't think we speak for anybody else.
I speak for the slightly smarter white people.
Maybe.
At least smarter than the dumbass white people.
You've never tried to... Never mind.
What were you going to say?
Put yourself in your mouth. You've never tried to do that.
There's no way.
But I'm just saying that I feel like that no matter who we have on, there's always a different viewpoint to that. So what I do think that we can accept and what we encourage is people who listen to the show that have a different viewpoint to write in.
And give us that viewpoint.
Because that's the way the other people, whether it's other races, other genders, other religions, other species, there's
some
we have a dog
stuff
sniffing
happening.
action going on. That's an opportunity to offer the other or an opposing viewpoint. And
we will absolutely continue the conversation with whatever input we get after the fact.
Yeah.
That's something that I'm interested in doing because the conversation doesn't have to end at the end of the podcast, in my opinion. We often touch back on things that we've spoken about in the past, and we're glad to do so again. We're pretty open-minded people, I think.
Yeah.
We're certainly not into putting anybody down for who they are or how they live.
Well, I like to feel like we're honest because I think sometimes we say stuff or even ask questions that a lot of people in today are discouraged from doing because it might hurt someone's feelings. It might make someone upset just because we're asking or just because we think something. I feel like I'm very honest. I'll come out and I'll say, I have some prejudices. Just like anybody does.
Yeah.
And instead of pretending like I don't, I would much rather throw them out and address them and say, this is what I think. How am I wrong? Let's talk about it. So I feel like that's what we do on the show rather than trying to hide our prejudices or our flaws. I think we just throw them out. We just throw them out and just try to handle it in front of everybody else.
I can't throw all my flaws out because they think it's illegal.
Not enough. There's not a big table.
Oh, my God. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's valid.
It is valid.
It's valid.
Well, it's valid for both of us, but I just think that that's what we do. So I think when you do that, you set yourself up to being potentially offensive. But not only that, but just embarrassing yourself.
I have no problem embarrassing myself.
Well, I think we've proven that we don't. I think that that's what we do on the show is we just kind of talk about things that maybe people would say, you know what, maybe you shouldn't say that. Maybe you should second thought.
Maybe you should keep that on the DL.
We kind of say that after we record and release the podcast. We say maybe we shouldn't have talked about that. But
I've only ever once had you actually erase something I said before releasing a podcast, and it was a personal item.
Yeah, but too, when I went back to do that, it wasn't as bad as you thought it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't do a lot of editing on this show at all.
No.
I feel like that's, well, it's a disaster. It's this epic disaster. That's the whole thing.
We're disastrous.
Yep. Well,
we are a couple of disasters.
Well, thanks for the letters from both of our letter writers, and I agree with most of what you said. If anybody else wants to weigh in and give your comments, thisepicdisaster@gmail.com, and you can be a star of our show.
Really?
Yeah, and if you're in the Atlanta
area... So you're going to replace me now?
No.
The hell? We can't even get a guest, and you're going to find somebody to replace me?
Speaking of getting a guest, if you're in the Atlanta area and you want to be on the show, all you got to do is send us an email and say, I'm going to be in the Atlanta area and I'd like to be on the show. And we will work that out.
We'll make it happen.
Yeah, we'll work it out.
We'll make it happen.
Make sure you're interesting.
Yeah, don't be boring.
Yeah, don't come on the show and go, I don't know. We do that.
Or don't talk.
Yeah.
Because then we'll just, leave you out of the conversation entirely, and then there's no point in you being here.
So how was your week? What's going on?
My week was all right.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of had a faux pas at work.
A faux pas?
Like a faux pas, like FAUXPAW, faux pas.
Okay, what happened?
Well, I had a copy-paste mistake that went out to the entirety of the company on our persistent chat
It
at
wasn't
work.
a picture of me trying to suck. Wait a minute.
I don't have that photo anymore. I deleted it. No, this was a message that was supposed to be a private message to a colleague.
And you made it not private.
In regard to another colleague. And I sent it out in general.
To everyone?
To everybody.
Hello.
And you know what I did?
You got fired.
No, I instantly owned that shit.
Oh, that's kind of what you got to do.
There's no point in trying to say you didn't do it. I mean, at that point.
That's what I say about this show. When you screw up, just say, that's me. I'm flawed. I screwed up.
So I cringed extremely hard as soon as I did it. I walked over to a colleague of mine and I said, look what I just did. And he looked at it and he went, oh. And at that moment, I just said, fuck it. I turned around and I walked over to the colleague that the comment was about, and I told him to look at it.
Yep.
It turned into a very constructive conversation. Okay. I, of course, apologized because it was kind of calling him out for something that wasn't getting done. And I did it in front of the entire company.
What if it had been worse, though? I mean, would you have owned it if you were like, this pig-faced guy, if he would mind his own business?
I'll be honest with you.
Keep his nose out of my ass.
I have done that in the past.
And then
worse.
You own it? Did you own it?
I owned the shit out of it. And it turned into, once again, a very good conversation about the problem at hand.
The way I would handle it is I would quit and go get another job somewhere else.
I thought about it for like a second.
Yeah.
I was like, if I just run now, maybe they'll forget I lived here. Worked here.
You're like, I have skills. I have skills that I can do other things for another company.
But it turns out that I have too much shit at work, and it would have taken me too long to gather my personal belongings. So instead of running and hiding, I went and I owned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what happened? He's just like, no big deal.
It was totally fine. He even put out in our persistent chat after our conversation that there's no drama, everything's fine, and he put it with a little heart emoji.
Very cool.
So I was pretty pleased about that. And then the following day, we had a meeting together in which we were on the same side. So it was it was productive. It turned into a productive thing.
Now, hopefully, this person's not one of those people that, 4 or 5 months from now, does something to you, and then when you say something, he's like, yeah, well, remember when you did that thing?
No, this person is not at all like that, which made it worse. Later. Because if this person was that kind of person, I wouldn't have gave a shit.
Or he's going to subtly be doing things against you.
No.
It's mad now.
Not at all.
Slashing your tires and go, look, what happened? I was outside and I noticed this, Cheri.
There are some people at work that might slash my tires, but not him.
Okay.
Yeah, not him. And for less.
So all's forgiven.
All is good.
All because you owned it.
I still kicked myself in the ass for the rest of that day.
See, I think sucking yourself and kicking yourself in the ass, both are very difficult to do.
True. One is more validating. No, more, what's the word I'm looking for?
Perverted?
Satisfying.
Oh, I don't know which one, but...
Kicking myself in the ass.
Oh, you
it
haven't tried
for
doing
about
the other
5
thing
minutes. And then it just goes away.
Okay. All right, well, that's cool. It's
yeah,
done.
yeah.
Taken care of.
It's all good. It's all good. Everything's fine. The rest of the week, I will say another work thing is that I have a new boss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's always a little bit scary, huh?
And because I know that a lot of people that I work with are
It wasn't the person that you...
No, I would be asking for work right now if that were the case. But because there are a lot of people I know that I work with that know about the podcast and possibly listen to it, I'm just going to say, hey, guess what? I have a new boss. And leave it at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. No opinions here. No opinions.
Well, I mean, it's new boss. It's a little too early to tell. But
still very new. Very new, yeah.
But
we'll
that's
see.
always weird. It's when you're used to one person, because that's happened to me, and then new boss, new things. All of a sudden this boss... there's certain things that this boss doesn't like that the other boss didn't care about.
Well, it's always going to be an adjustment.
Yeah.
I mean, it's always going to be this person does things differently because they're another person.
They might get if you might come in 20 seconds late, and they might get steaming mad, where the other person, if you came in 20 minutes late, wouldn't care.
Yeah.
You never know.
I mean,
I'm not saying specifically this person. I'm just saying in general.
In general, a new person might have different priorities.
Yeah, and you got to get used to all that.
Yep. So it's going to be an adjustment, and you know how much I like change.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Love it. Love change.
But, that's life. It's inevitable.
Yeah. So how about you? How's your week?
Oh, I don't know. We said that we weren't going to talk about ailments and pains and aches.
Because now we just sound our age.
Yeah, we just said we're not going to do that on the show anymore. So I can't talk. I've developed a really, really bad knee pain, and I don't know why or where it came from. So I've been hobbling around for an entire week.
I think it's because of the car you've been driving.
I think that's what I'm about to narrow it down to, and so I got to figure something out. But anyway, it's just been... because I've had knee pain before and it goes away quick. This one's lasted a long time. So I've been having ice packs and things like that, hobbling around. It's not fun. I actually thought for a second about getting a walker. That's how old I am. I've thought about a cane or a walker.
I don't think you're going to need a walker, perhaps a cane.
I think I would rather do the wheelchair. I'm a wheelchair kind of guy.
Well, I mean...
would speed around. Did you ever watch Murder Ball?
No.
You never saw Murder Ball?
No.
The dudes in wheelchairs that play basketball?
No.
Oh.
It's a sport, right?
Oh, yeah.
No.
You should. I think it's a documentary. You should watch that.
Okay. Where can I find it?
There's actually leagues of wheelchair basketball, and I mean, they're cutthroat. These guys they talk about kicking ass. They'll run over you. I mean...
I almost made a very inappropriate joke, but since we just talked about...
being inappropriate,
I'll just keep that one to myself.
But you should, seriously, if you get a chance, it's called Murder Ball.
Murder Ball.
And I don't know if that's actually an official name or if it's just kind of a slang for what they call what they do.
Okay.
Because it really is. It's cutthroat. They can't. They don't. It's all. Everybody's on wheels.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I mean, it's a mixture of demolition derby.
But they don't use electric wheelchairs. They use the
that,
manually powered wheelchairs.
Right. And so they don't have to dribble. If I remember right, they actually can put the ball on their lap while they're rolling, because they got to have both hands. They can't dribble.
Yeah.
If you're trying to dribble with one hand, you're going to go in circles.
Go around in circles.
That's right. So that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
But I don't know if there's like a time limit of how long you can put. I don't know, and I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it. But yeah, give that a watch. But anyway, I think I'm a wheelchair kind of guy. I think if I got to the point where I just couldn't walk, like my grandfather had a walker. The whole time I knew him, he was on a walker. And it was just like, that was my grandfather. That's how I always knew my grandfather. I never knew of him to be able to independently walk.
If you were wheelchair bound and had a choice, would you prefer a manual wheelchair or an electric wheelchair?
I think I'd prefer a manual, but I think you could do both. You could like click into gear, like if you're going uphill, just kind of click the switch.
Sure.
But I would like the other day I was like in the FedEx Kinko's kind of copy place, and there's this older guy. I would say close in his 70s, maybe.
Okay.
In a wheelchair, and he's getting some copies done. And they do his copies, and they finish, and they ring him up, and he stands up and walks over to the counter, and he pays for it.
Okay.
And then comes back and sits in his wheelchair.
Okay.
So the whole time he's in his wheelchair, I think he can't walk at all, but yet apparently he can.
Well,
walk
you don't have to be
just
completely unable to walk
Benny
to use a
Hinn
wheelchair.
came in and healed him really quick.
Oh God.
I don't know. It could have happened. But
my father uses a wheelchair, but he's still able to walk.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that concept, and I think that's what I would do. I don't think I would do the cane or the walker. I think I would go with the wheelchair. I don't know. I might as well get a ride out of it.
Well, and the thing is that some of these folks, while yes, they could walk, they're capable and able to walk. They can't walk for long.
Yeah.
They can't walk far distances. It's uncomfortable. It's painful to walk.
Do you ever judge people in the little carts at Walmart? I do every time. I see someone in the cart. I'm like, get up. You don't need that thing.
Do you really?
All the time. I swear. And especially if I see them walking in and then sitting on one of those things. Because my wife had to use one for a while. She had surgery.
Right.
She couldn't walk. But I'm just convinced some people just don't want to walk. They just want to ride. And they just get it and just ride around. It makes me mad. I want to knock them over.
I don't have a problem with that. If you are a perfectly capable, able-bodied person and you hop on one of those things just to zoom around the grocery store, that's fine.
It's fine unless someone really needs it.
The only problem, that's what I was going to say, unless somebody there doesn't have access to one because you're using it.
I don't know. I guess I'm just a judgmental person. I just look at them and I'm like, you're lazy. That's all your problem is. You're lazy. Get up.
Wow.
Yeah. And then they do get up.
Without knowing
they're like, they have to have a cane, and then I feel bad. And I'm like, oh,
you
crap.
don't actually say those things.
No, I don't say it out loud. Just say it to myself. And then I have to apologize to myself.
To yourself?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm such an asshole.
Yeah. It's like, you're an asshole. I know.
I know.
I'm
sorry.
Sorry for being an ass. Like, I know you're an ass. I've experienced
I've known you
it
your
for
whole
57
life.
years.
That's right.
Asshole.
That's right.
But, I do. I always judge those people. I always feel like, because when people are parking in the handicap parking space, they have the tag. So you can identify, and you're like, that person's supposed to be there. Anybody could sit in those things. And sometimes I see people that just look like there's nothing at all wrong with them.
Okay. And you get all judgy.
Yeah, definitely. I get judgy. And I shouldn't, because that's dumb. But, I just do it.
But you do it.
I know.
I have a problem with people that, and I'll be honest, that I see parking in the special spaces for people with issues, and they don't appear to have any issues.
Well,
but then again, it's like just for a fraction of a second, because then I turn around and I say, you know what? I have had knee pain so badly that just walking from my car to the front door of my office, I had to stop twice. So I get it. I do. I get it. But I would still not park in those spots unless you are tagged to do so.
My wife parked in one of the expectant mothers spaces last week, and she was just like, I didn't care. It was like, if they asked, I would be like, yeah, what are you going to do? How do you know I'm not? How do you know I'm not?
You want to take pregnancy tests?
Right. And I was just like, okay, then does that mean when I'm at Home Depot, I can park in the veterans? Because I'm not a veteran, but maybe I could fake it.
How do you fake it?
Just somebody says, oh, are you a veteran? Where were you? And I'd be like, oh, I was in Iraq. And then like, oh, me too. What division? I'd be like, I was.
And then pretend you had like PTSD.
I was hitting the head.
Something.
Yeah, I was like, I was in there and I was hitting the head. I had this disease where I'm going to kill you. And the guy would be like, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, dude. I could do that.
Please don't ever do that. At least not when I'm with you.
I just start making up words and just saying stuff and acting really crazy. I could.
Wow.
I could.
You could.
I could do that in the unexpected mothers.
I'm parking in the unexpected mother's space.
That's all the other spaces.
Right.
Like, holy shit, I'm gonna be a mother. I wasn't
didn't expect
expecting that. Okay. Well, all right. So we should wind down, but I have something, and we're really kind of going down that area. So let's talk about this. Because I had a question, and it's weird because I had this question before we even did the show, and it had nothing to do with anything we're talking about, but it kind of works with what we're talking about, and that is, how much responsibility do you feel as a individual to other people's offense? To when someone else's feelings get hurt, or someone says, you hurt my feelings, or you offended me, how much responsibility to you do you take as an individual to that?
Are we talking about rando on the street, or are we talking about your partner, or are we talking about friends?
Well, first of all, rando on the street, how would you hurt their feelings? I mean...
Well, people on the street get offended by other people they don't even know all the time.
Right. So that
just by their existence.
That should figure into the answer. But let's say someone at work, and not necessarily that guy, but let's just say let's say someone's offended by you being a vegetarian.
Okay.
Let's say you're offended by someone who's eating a ham sandwich.
Wayne never offends me. He has a ham sandwich every day for lunch.
Well, let's switch it around. Let's say that it does, and you are offended by that. How much responsibility should he take to as an individual to your offense?
0.
Why?
Because he's just doing him. He's just doing what he's doing. He's not hurting anybody other than the poor piggies, and he's not hurting me. He's not doing it to offend me. I'll give you an example on the same line. People that eat meat do not offend me at all. People that sit at the same table with me and go, this steak is so good. Yeah. You want a piece of this steak?
Do people still do that to you?
Good.
Do people still do that to you?
Once in a great
I haven't
while.
heard that in so long.
But do you know how just utterly offensive that is?
It's just stupid.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
And what ultimately what I'm offended by is the fact that I have to sit at that table with that person.
Well, I mean, to me, it's the exact same thing if you go up to somebody with diabetes and go, this cake, and don't you wish you could have this cake?
Or if you go up to someone who's struggling with alcoholism and you go, you want a drink? I'm having a drink. I'm going to get a drink. I'm going to buy you a drink or a shot.
Smells so good.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
They don't think it's the same thing, but
no, they don't. At all. They don't think it's the same thing
at
all.
I think we're in a society now where we're being told, we're being trained that for some reason we have to take responsibility for other people's hurt feelings or offense. So I'm on Facebook. I've got a really close friend, and I don't remember what the topic was, but I had responded to something he said with something really silly. I've known this guy since college, and I was goofing on his page.
You were just being silly and stupid.
I don't remember what I said or what I did. It was just something silly, and it was something meant for him. And at that was it. And then a few days later, I think, I got a Facebook instant message from someone I didn't recognize. I was like, I don't know who this is. And I opened it up, and it's some young kid, and he said, the thing you put on Joe's page offended me, and I'm asking you to take it down.
And what did you respond?
I can't remember if I responded directly to that, but I responded by blocking him.
I mean, that's a good response.
I didn't take anything down.
It's a valid response.
But I think what's happening was a lot of people, especially, and I'm going to say millennials, although I'm not picking on millennials, but I think about that age and younger, people somehow feel like that their feelings their feelings, other people are responsible for their feelings. And I grew up being told, you're responsible for your own feelings. No one offends you. No one hurts your feelings. You allow them to do that.
Yeah.
And I was always told, if you just say someone hurt my feelings, they just go, no, they didn't hurt your feelings. You let your feelings be hurt by them.
I mean, I understand that people are capable of letting me down. People let me down often. Not that I have very high standards. I just happen to attract people that let me down. But I also attract wonderful, absolutely beautiful people who do not let me down. That's just me being trusting of everybody. But when somebody lets me down, I take actions so that it doesn't happen again in the future, but I don't expect them to apologize to me. And in certain situations, even if they do apologize to me, I don't accept it. Because let's take the example that I spoke about a couple weeks ago with a friend of mine, an acquaintance of mine that came to stay.
Right.
And made a bad choice.
Exactly. I remember that.
That person attempted to apologize multiple times, and I did not accept it. And I still don't accept it because...
You're an asshole.
Well, no.
Oh.
I'm not an asshole. I mean, I can be an asshole, but in this case, I don't think I was being an asshole. In this case, it was simply because don't apologize to me. Look at the choice you made.
Yeah.
And examine it for yourself and see why you did that. That's my idea of, this is something you did. My feelings on the matter are my feelings on the matter, and they're really not your business. So you don't have to apologize to me. What you have to do, I think, at least in my opinion, if you're asking, is look at it and really look at it and examine, the choice that you made for yourself. I don't care the outcome because I'm no longer in your life. You deal with it.
Yeah.
And move on. Well,
let's say we did a because we're always making dumb jokes, but let's say we did a dumb joke about someone being murdered, because we do that. We've done that a million times. We make murder jokes, and then we get a letter from someone that says, "My mother was murdered, and I didn't appreciate you doing this, and it hurt my feelings, and it brought back some bad memories. And I think you should apologize." For me, I wouldn't take responsibility. Like, "Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that your mother was murdered."
Yeah, I'm sorry,
That's
and I'm
awful.
sorry that happened, but I'm not going to take responsibility for hurting someone's feelings, because let's say one person felt that way, and then maybe 300 people felt something totally different. Maybe it didn't bother them.
Right.
So if I apologize to that person, do I go back and apologize to the 300 too? What do I do?
Now, you also have to look at it, like we can take this pretty granularly. If you were making fun of someone who had been murdered, like a specific individual from a news story or something like that who had been murdered, why you would do that, I don't know. But if you were making fun of that dead person and then that person's relative came to you and said, "Dude, that's not cool," that's a little different.
Yeah.
But you're just making a random murder joke.
Well, see, that's kind of where I think the responsibility is. It's like, I'm not responsible for jokes or humor or inadvertent offenses that I might say for something that I have just random. But if I say something specific about someone and it was insensitive, yeah, I think I would go back and apologize.
Exactly.
But I can't, like, when we're doing a show that goes out to a lot of people, and when you think about a TV show or a talk show or something that's on national television, the tons and tons and tons and millions of people that goes out to, anything that you say is going to hurt someone's feelings or offend someone, or they're going to take it wrong, or it's just going to make them feel bad.
Anything we say could.
Yeah.
Has the possibility of doing that.
Just like when we talk about beer, do we offend people who are trying to be sober?
When I talk about how I like boobs, maybe people are offended by me liking boobs.
That's the whole point. So just like, how do you pick out what you're going to apologize to? And I just feel like that, for me, I try to think clearly. I know
it's difficult.
It doesn't appear. I try to think clearly about what I say and not offend people directly. If I offend people inadvertently, and especially if it's something if I just was just totally oblivious of, and I said something completely wrong, I would apologize. But I just think that everybody has individual issues of sensitivity for certain things, and I can't be responsible for everybody's, especially if they directly contradict each other. Like, somebody's offended about this, and then somebody else is offended with the exact opposite thing. There's no way. I mean, I can make a joke about a peanut butter sandwich, and then someone who has a peanut allergy issue that's very, very serious, or even who had kids that were someone might have lost their life because of that. Mm-hmm. How can I be responsible for that? I mean, there's just no way to edit every single thing that you say.
There isn't. So it's not possible.
I just feel like, in society, we're moving in a society that, every few commercials that are on TV are some attorney saying, "Have you been injured?"
Right.
It's always I can get you money. It's not your fault. It's someone else's fault.
I can get you some kind of payback.
I saw a meme on Facebook that was just like, this is not your fault. This is, and it was some other blame thing, and it was a big old long thing about how it's not your fault. And then but I looked at it and I was like, and I didn't say it to the person, but I wanted to go, well, sometimes it's your fault. It's okay to be at fault about certain things sometimes. You can't set your life up where you have no fault. I know being at fault sometimes makes you feel bad, but sometimes saying, ooh, that was my fault, and being able to get over that and through that is an important thing. You have to know when to say, that's not my issue, that's your issue.
Exactly.
And, oh, that was my issue, I screwed up, I will take
ownership.
Yeah. But I just feel like we're in a society now where you are responsible for how I just felt.
Yeah. Everything that happens
made me feel
in
bad.
my life is happening to me.
But even if you did,
and other people are causing it.
Even if you did, and I'm trying to think, you said something recently, now I can't think of what it is offhand, that I thought about as kind of being shitty. And you didn't mean it that way to me, but I just thought, oh, okay, is that how you feel? But that was me. It was me making an issue about something.
Yeah.
I have to come to a point for me where I just go, well, I'm sorry. I mean, somebody else doesn't like me or what I say or whatever, or, wants to make fun of me for being a certain type of person. That's, okay, go for it.
Another view on this topic is I have a Facebook person that I'm friends with, and they have been doing a lot of complaining on Facebook recently about their lot in life. And
I think we have the same friend.
And somebody, not me, finally responded to one of these posts and said, you're doing it. You're making these choices. You're not changing your behavior. That's
one of the worst things you could say to those people.
You're not making any strides to try something different.
Yeah.
To do better, to be better. But you're allowing this to continue by maintaining the same patterns of lifestyle. Yeah. And that person was severely attacked on that person's post by all of their other friends. And I just watched. Yeah. I just watched, because the thing is that sometimes you have to be blunt. Sometimes you have to say, okay, like for instance, if you come to me every day, Rick, and you say, my shoulder hurts. Mm-hmm. And then you come to me again the next day, you say, my shoulder hurts. And you come to me the next day, you say, my shoulder hurts. And I'm like, okay, what are you doing about it? Well, nothing. Well, then shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of where I'm at.
Well, you get sympathy the first time. And the second time, maybe some sympathy. The third time, what are you doing about it?
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
and
how
then
about
the fourth time is just like, stop coming to me.
Stop telling me your shoulder hurts.
But,
I'm aware.
I don't want to get into too much personal information, but I know I've had a relationship with someone who had substance abuse issues.
Uh-huh.
And initially I was like there for every little thing.
Right.
Any kind of problems that happened, I was very much more willing to forgive. Mm-hmm. And if the person continued to use, I would be like, oh, I understand, and I would try. But then after 3 or 4 years of the same thing
over and over
hearing the
again.
same thing, and you just realize the person's not trying to do anything on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't. You're not there to take care of that person and to enable them to maintain those bad choices.
And you realize if you say anything about it, they get offended.
And you become an asshole.
Yeah, but
because you don't understand my disease.
It's just like they need the offense in their life to kind of keep their lifestyle
drama.
going.
It's just drama. Some people strive and thrive on drama.
Well, I think, like my wife, a lot of times will tell me certain times when I say something that is potentially offensive or insensitive to whatever, a group of people or whatever, and she will say, well, now people don't use that word, or people don't say that anymore, or people don't make that term isn't something the way, and terms are changing constantly.
Yes.
And I'm not always up to date on all of that kind of stuff. And I think that that's probably an effective way of doing it. Instead of just getting offended, to be able to say, well, maybe you could try this. Mm-hmm. Maybe possibly this is a way to do it.
A more acceptable way to put that would be.
But I don't think people want to do that. We're in a Twitter, Facebook culture where it's just like you just need to rage on people.
You just throw something out there and then walk away.
Yeah.
And mic drop. And that's not okay.
Yeah.
Because if somebody has constructive criticism, or not even criticism, just information, intelligence that you may not have, up-to-date information, and they try and give it to you when you say something, then, based on the person giving you that information, you should take it and use it.
Well, of course, what we say is probably not everybody's opinion, so we'd like to hear your opinion. If you have an opinion on anything we've said on this particular outdoor show, including the fact that maybe we should have used more deodorant, send it to us at thisepicdisaster@gmail.com. You can send us messages on Facebook. Mm-hmm. We're also on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube, and all of those good places too. Yep. So visit us there and make comments. I have a quick story I wanted to talk about. It's a news story, which I found very interesting. This is something, you can look this up. This is very funny, but sad at the same time. A man gets slapped 52 times by his furious girlfriend for not buying her a new phone.
52 times?
52. A Chinese man has been labeled a victim of abuse after, you think, really? After being slapped in public a whopping 52 times by his girlfriend, who was apparently upset that he hadn't bought her a new smartphone for Chinese Valentine's Day.
Is that a thing? I'm sorry. I don't know all the holidays.
It is. Well, I mean, I think any culture probably has a celebration of love.
Holiday. Yeah. Okay.
Most Chinese couples celebrated May 20th, or 520 is what they call it.
Oh, okay.
I guess it's like our 420, it's less pot. One of the Asian country's 3 yearly lovers' days.
Oh, okay.
In a romantic way. One pair in Sichuan province, decided to cause a shocking scene instead. Videos captured by nearby surveillance cameras, as well as passersby, and later shared on social media, showed a young woman slapping her boyfriend in the street while viciously scolding him for allegedly failing to buy her a new smartphone as a gift. Now.
Wow.
Look it up. I saw the video. This poor dude just stands there
and takes it.
And she slaps him and just yells at him and rages at him because he didn't get her a cell phone.
A phone for
Valentine's Day.
Which I wouldn't think is a very romantic gift.
Well,
if we're celebrating love, I want something more personal.
Certainly, the slaps aren't romantic either. I think that relationship is doomed to failure. I'm not sure why the guy stood there.
Maybe he's into it. Who are we to judge?
I've been in a relationship that involved slapping, and I didn't hang around.
You didn't stand there and take it.
No. And that guy did, and they were in public. So look it up. You just look this video up. I don't know what Chinese man getting slapped 52 times, whatever. You can see the video. He just stands there while she yells at him. Everybody's standing around watching this, and she's slapping him, and he just stands there and takes it, slap. And she just goes out and splam, another one, and everybody just stands there and watches.
How embarrassing.
Totally
for both of them.
Yeah. Walk away.
Walk away.
Let somebody else buy her a phone.
Let's wrap this up. I'm ready to go. I'm hot.
Me too. My Boozy Shake is gone. My food is gone.
Hold on.
We have a motorcycle race going on in the streets right now.
I didn't hear a word you just said.
By two guys with small penises.
Oh, God.
Neither looked like they were trying to do anything to themselves, but I'm guessing the way they're driving, they're going to be. All right, send us an email, thisepicdisaster@gmail.com. Tell us if you like the show. Tell us if you think the show's a bunch of shit. We don't care.
Don't care. Whatever.
We do really care.
I mean, yeah.
But we'd like to hear what you think of the show. Should we do more, this is kind of a weird feeling when you're out in the public like this, but should we do more kind of public shows, get out? I do want to do some guests. We're going to try to have a guest, but, it's too hot for
Nobody
guests.
likes us.
It's too hot for guests.
Yeah.
But we'll have guests soon.
You're too hot for guests.
Yeah. I'm too hot for myself. All right, here comes some more motorcycles. Let's close it down before we get a lot of noise. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks
everyone.
for listening.
Look forward to hearing from you, and you'll hear from us again next Monday.
Week.
All right. Bye.
Bye. This is a Violet Jester Media podcast.